Today I'm going to give you a first sneak peek at ZENSPHERE, and I'm also going to show you how we go about making the sounds for this. So first let me start by giving you an impression of what the synth is sounding like. We actually also have the possibility to mess with the sampler pitch, so check this out. So I hope that gives you a first impression of what this synth sounds like. I was experimenting with it this morning and I had the moment where I realized, hey, this is starting to take on a life of its own. Like, it's starting to come alive. We're doing the testing and the presets and everything, and I thought it would be really cool also to share with you what it's actually like to make presets for ZENSPHERE. So I'm going to show you what the process is for sampling this Cwejman instrument, which is the bass lead drum something or other maker, I think it's called. It's a BLD. So the first thing, of course, that I have to do is check that this thing is in tune. Okay, that's really close now. It's a little like a 1 cent high. So I'm going to take it down just a little bit. And this is the part where, yeah, like I start to realize I'm way too obsessive about this stuff. But like, if I'm gonna do it, I wanna do it right. Like, you know, if it's not exactly zero here, it's gonna drift potentially in other directions. So I want this to be full on just right. Now, I'm gonna grab my phone here so that I can also give you an idea of the signal chain, of what's going on here, how I'm capturing this instrument. So its signal is coming into the mixer. Right here, no EQing or anything. The mixer is just being used for gain and routing. I'm sending it to groups 3. It's a monosynth, so I'm just using 3. And then it's going through here to all these points on the patch bay, which basically just send it to different devices. The first thing it hits is this louder than lift off chop shop, because I'm removing a little bit of the low end. From there it goes to this Pultec style EQ that doesn't have tubes, meaning it doesn't respond sloppily. It's the Wes Audio Prometheus. It's just doing a little bit of a boost in the highs. From there it's going to go to this Audioscape AS78. That's just doing a little bit of compression, but it is blended. And then the louder than lift-off Silver Bullet, which is doing both the Neve type and APA type drive, as well as the SSL type drive circuit Mojo engaged. We're going Neve to API into SSL, which is crazy, which is so cool about this device. Then we're hitting the Rupert Neve Designs Master Bus processor, which is doing mostly saturation, a little bit of its silk high frequency boosting. And depending on the sound, sometimes I'm pushing it a little bit into compression, but this is more like just like a vibe and mojo maker, and it just makes everything sound really beautiful. And for me to be able to hit this signal quite hard, as I'm doing now, there you see it's going into compression, so like that's the right setting, just a little bit here. So for me to be able to do that without totally distorting my inputs on Ableton, what I'm actually doing is I am sending that signal to these 2 LA2A type compressors, and I'm mostly using these just to level out the signal so that that would hit the Prism Orpheus converters down here, that it doesn't totally nuke the converters, because the signal coming off of this thing when it's compressing that much and hitting plus 18, it's really loud. And then once I have it set up and tuned, I want to know that the sound is going to work in a mix. And I can show you it's going straight to the main. There's just a safety limiter on the main. So now what I would do now is create a temporary baseline on this, just so that I can get a feeling for how this would work in a track. And now I basically want to check, how are we doing with this synth As I said, I would also record some versions where it's fully open so that you can also open it completely, but I also do record versions where the filter is closed and just a little bit more open, so it's definitely possible to bring it to the front of your track. And now this is where it gets crazy. This funny tool comes into being, which is called SampleRobot. Now I just have to tell this how many notes I want to sample, and I usually do this range because then it's the widest. And it's gonna now sample all these notes, blasting loud, so full velocity with these settings. Yeah, it's like a whole crazy routing that I have going on here to be able to capture this stuff. I have this tool that I use to capture my audio digitally and then send it around the computer, because once it's in the converters, of course, I don't wanna send it anywhere else non-digitally because it would lead to degradation. And then now the fun stuff starts. When I hit record on this, it's going to go through here and sample the sound that I just showed you on the BLD. So that's it. That is how a ZENSPHERE sound is made. In essence, you're going to get access to all the synths here in the studio with different settings, both, you know, ready to use as well as some that are very open in case you want to really open up a sound, processed with all this crazy output. And as I showed you earlier, this is sounding sick and I can't wait to share it with you. So I'm gonna say goodbye at this point. I'm gonna let the sampling process run so you can get an idea of how it sounds like and what the last 3 weeks have been like in my studio with SampleRobot running this. And I've done the maths roughly, and I've sampled now close to 30,000 notes for this instrument. So it's not gonna be an approximation of what these synths sound like. It's these synths in software. I can't wait to share it with you. Let's go sample this now, and I'll see you on the next video. Take it easy. Bye-bye.